Hi, beautiful people. How are ya? I hope you're having a great day. Next week is Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? I mean, where'd the time go? I took my granddaughter to her internship today, and we stopped at her work just a block away from where her internship is, a little coffee shop, and we got coffees. Well, she got a tea of some sort, some mixture of, no, she got a hot chocolate with peppermint, and I got a coffee with peppermint. That was fun. And while we were there, this lady was talking to somebody, and I heard her say, well, you won't see me next week because it's the week of Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, what happened? Oh, yeah, I was glad she said that. So since next week is Thanksgiving, on Tuesday next week, I'll have probably a day in the life video. I've got my Christmas decorations up, so I'd like to share that with you. And then on Friday, I'll probably have a short video. That's the day our family comes here to our home for the Thanksgiving meal. My husband gets very excited about all that cooking. Oh, but I've got to get my house clean. That's what I've got to do. I have lots to do. Dusting galore. Because I did rearrange my furniture. I have things like I want them. We'll have to shampoo carpets. All the floors need mopped. Obviously, I won't do that until the day before, probably on Thanksgiving Day. And our furniture will need shampooed as well. I mean, we've got doggies, so makes the house smell better when you've got clean furniture. So that's what I have planned. What do you guys have planned for next week? So on with our topic for today. I think one of the most important things we can do in order to have a prosperous and enjoyable life while living with fibromyalgia is to learn to cope with the disease. Today's video is going to be about a study that I read about our ability to cope with fibromyalgia. Normally, I look at multiple studies and share all of them that I find on a particular topic, but this one was pretty full of information, so I'm just going to share this one video. Honestly, when I chose this particular study, I thought it was going to be kind of lighthearted, and once I got started, I had to see it through. The study is about all of those things that we, beautiful people with fibromyalgia, have experienced in our lives, and some are tragic. It really doesn't matter where you live in the world. You can be affected by fibromyalgia, and your whole world can be turned upside down. But I will end with some happy thoughts for you because I need them too. I think that too often we push down the ugly thoughts, do we not? Instead of experiencing them and working through them. You don't have to act on them. Just let them pass through and then let them go. That's what we need to do. I think that is what these women in this study have done, or perhaps they were doing that during the study. Either way, they echo the words of all people with fibromyalgia. The last theme that emerged from that study that I'm going to be sharing was the things in their lives that they believed led to their fibromyalgia disease. So buckle up. It could be a bumpy ride. I hope not. I hope that you can soar through it and we can do this together. Here we go. Fibromyalgia patients experience numerous somatic, what's happening in the body as separate from the mind, functional, medical condition with no known cause, and emotional symptoms. These symptoms can often cause a decline in our daily activities and reduce our ability to function physically, psychologically, and socially. This is a problem for our quality of life. In January and February of 2022, 2 focus groups with a total of 15 female participants between the ages of 47 to 72, with a mean age of 60.9 or 61 years. That means the average age, were a part of the study. The interviews were conducted online through Zoom. That's how I did my study, and referred to how the participants coped with fibro. These participants were from Israel, and the most frequent pharmaceuticals used by participants for treating their fibro were non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, gabapentin, tricyclic antidepressants, and cannabis. They also use non-pharmaceutical treatments like hydrotherapy, massage, and meditation or yoga. This study was published April 19th of 2023. As a qualitative study, the researchers interviewed participants with a basic script to stay on topic, but allowed participants to express their thoughts and feelings. The results of this study involved using a thematic explanation of what they found in the study. There were 3 main themes of emotional coping, practical coping, and coping with the social environment. So let's start with emotional coping. In this study, participants described their emotions that began with feelings of repression and despair and led them to acceptance and completion. To do this, they convince themselves that there are more serious illnesses that other people have to endure, so they decided to learn to live with fibro. They learned to love themselves. People with fibromyalgia often have a wide range of negative and positive emotions. I found this to be quite true in my study too. I know that I can be all over the place, and that's where pacing and mindfulness comes in handy. The negative feelings from these participants were anger, guilt, frustration, sadness, helplessness, and a sense of missing out. However, their positive feelings were hope, pride, happiness, optimism, and self-love. That's wonderful. Those are really awesome feelings. Are they yours too? I'm going to assume this was a healthy pride. Pride can be a double-edged sword of healthy and unhealthiness. A healthy pride would be self-confidence and a can-do attitude, but an unhealthy pride serves to only sting or cut others to the point of injuring relationships. So this healthy pride would be a great thing to have. Practical coping. This theme is about the process that participants went through to get their diagnosis. For most, it was a lengthy process and misdiagnoses, living with disturbing symptoms and their changing lifestyle. The first category was the agonizing process of receiving, internalizing the diagnosis. They experienced years of uncertainty running between clinics, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, or physical therapists, and receiving incorrect diagnoses, such as mental health problems. That one is pretty tough. I'm so sorry to those of you who experience this.
This theme
Involved living with symptoms. They describe the same symptoms that we all have dealt with, such as pain, fatigue, exhaustion, lack of concentration, stiffness, weakness, and a lack of energy. Again, this is tough to hear, although most of us have lived this or are living through this. The third category was changing lifestyle. This shows how they adapted to their new life by performing new lifestyle activities. I love it that she sings in the choir, and she decided to dedicate time to herself. Love that. I think it's always wise to be responsible for yourself and learn all we can about our disease. Participants coping with their social environment. This third theme, well, it can also be tough to share or conceal their fibromyalgia symptoms, and their daily difficulties and struggles can be a difficult call. I've been there. For many, there's the fear of being a burden or disappointing the people around you, and a lack of understanding, which can cause you to hide your symptoms. So, if you do not need to know, then you do not need to know. I love that. But at the same time, they found that they disconnected from social relationships with people who did not understand and developed relationships with others who they felt they could trust. That part is good. That's a wise decision. Perhaps, though, it can get unhealthy. If you sever ties with your family altogether, maybe that's not a wise decision. I don't know. I don't live your life, but I need my family. Whether they understand or not, it doesn't matter to me. They're still my family. But that's how I feel. I haven't lived your life. If you live a rough life with family who is really awful, then sever those ties, guys, because that would be needed. So they found that they disconnected from social relationships with people who did not understand and developed relationships with others who they felt they could trust. Perhaps it can get unhealthy if you sever ties with family altogether. Maybe it means that you develop new relationships that provide you with the peace you need while limiting your contact with family who are unsupportive, rather than completely severing. There was a person who posted probably a year ago that her family didn't believe her, and now she doesn't have a relationship with them, and my heart sank. I don't expect everyone to believe or understand what I go through. As I said, that doesn't matter. I can still love them. I can still understand that they don't understand and limit my contact with them, or perhaps just never bring up the topic of fibromyalgia. Just leave it. Lay it at God's feet. Again, what do you think? Am I wrong? So, this next category was their environmental resources. It was about their ability to receive emotional and physical support from family, friends, coworkers, and nonprofits. Do you find this difficult? Because if you need help and support, ask. Ask whoever it is. It doesn't have to be somebody in your family. It can be a nonprofit group or a friend. There's nothing worse than feeling completely alone. Humans need social contact. That's totally important in our lives. The last theme came up during the patients' discussions and involved their perception of the causes for their fibromyalgia appearance, they're calling it, how it looks to other people, or how it looks to them. And that, in turn, they believe is what is affecting their coping. The categories involved demanding lifestyle. I was under great pressure at my workplace. The job was very demanding and very abrasive. I lived in a very demanding system, and even at home, I lived in an unsupportive relationship. Traumatic life events and personality trait called perfectionism. This is a theme that I find most interesting because it relates to how we came to the place that we needed to learn to cope. I think many of us are probably type A personalities, and we worked very, very hard in our life to get where we are. And I hope none of this re-traumatizes you. Participants described the things that they believe contributed to the onset of their disease. They described workload, stress, around the clock, multiple work jobs, or unsupporting relationships. Those break my heart. As I was typing this, and as I'm reading it now, I still feel a little stunned. All 15 of the participants supported these ideas. They also described traumatic events. They've experienced war, terrorism, accidents, and natural disasters. These are the stories of 3 of the women. And the last one is certainly a topic we've talked about on this channel, perfectionism. There are times that perfectionism is healthy, but when it's unhealthy, it can lead to unhappiness. When it's healthy, this type of trait can be a source of strength because you enjoy a challenge and love to problem solve, and you desire growth. So perfectionism isn't always bad if it's a source of strength and not a weakness. If you struggle with perfectionism, try mindfulness and be compassionate with yourself and others. Be present in the moment and don't allow yourself to use negative self-judgments. Let me say that none of this information is new to me, but it does reinforce what we already know. I studied self-presentation theory, how we present ourselves to others. I looked at the negative and the positive because We get so much flack for being human and real, but anyone in this situation would do the same. So I wanted to make sure that I showed the negative, as long as it isn't prolonged, is a normal process of healing. Having a sense of the cause provides a way for us to create meaning for our behavioral and cognitive efforts that we apply to manage our disease in an emotional, practical, and social way. That's what these participants did. In turn, it helped them to counteract their negative emotions. The authors stated, therefore, it seems that our findings reinforce that psychological coping is a dynamic process that might associate with the patient's symptoms, functional abilities, and the degree of social acceptance. We need others. We need to feel accepted. Let's end this video with a thought for the day. Here's a quote from the Holy Bible. I eagerly expect and hope that I will in no way be ashamed, but will have sufficient courage so that now, as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. It's from the New International Version, Philippians 1:20. For this day, let's celebrate how far we have come. We ask God to give us grace and loving kindness as we conduct our life and how we treat others. We also ask God to give us the courage to communicate in word and deed what exalts Him, brings Him peace, brings Him praise, and encourages others. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. I hope this ended on a good note for you and that you feel encouraged. We're not alone. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. Honestly, when I chose this video, no, social relation, clock is chiming.